So, like, his Feliz Natal or Natal. That to me, like, that's like swimming in French.
Oh.
Well, Feliz is that's not anything in French, but Nate.
I thought he was saying Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Real quick, so this is the sound check portion of the stream, so please, for the love of God, if there's any issues with the sound, the clicking, whatever, me being too quiet, Dave being too loud,
Yes.
say something now. Say it now.
Yeah. Tell us.
Now.
Tell us, Tom, because we know you're listening.
Yeah. You might be the only one.
Yeah, we know you're out there, Tom. Tell us if we sound like shit.
Yes, please.
Por favor.
What he said.
Pajolsta.
See.
3PO. I'm trying to think of other languages for please. I think that's it.
So my youngest son, who's in 7th grade, hello there. He fucking Tom.
God damn it.
He's taking French.
Okay.
And when I found out he was in French class, I'm like, why not take a useful language? You could learn almost any other language and it would be more useful than fucking French, unless you're planning on moving to Canada.
Or Africa. I used French a lot in Africa.
Okay, and that's all fine and good, but how many Americans, really want to move to some African country?
Do you know why I took 4 years of French?
The hot ass
broads. It was for broads.
Right.
There was me and 2 other dudes in that class. Actually, no. By French 4, it was me and 1 other guy. and with a class full of like 26 people.
Right.
So it was just me and him, and we sat in the back corner and just enjoyed ourselves. It was an easy A.
All right.
Honestly, because Mademoiselle Wallace at the time, who then got married, unfortunately, and became Madame Venanzi, which is the most un-French thing ever. My daughter actually had her because she's like, oh, I'm going to take French. And I tried to talk her out of it.
Right.
Like, there's no reason for you to take French. None. There's no practical application. I know. I took 4 years of this stupid shit. And she, no. She insisted. So, and then she had the same fucking French teacher that I had. And then she remembered me. The fucking French teacher.
Wow.
I
would imagine 4 years. That would
4 years of it, and
and again, being one of the only guys in the class, you probably
being a little bit of a character too.
Oh, I'm sure.
And then, but it's fucking strange when 20 years later your kid goes through and has the same teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Just as weird.
They must have a shitty pension plan to stay in that long.
She actually retired. I think before she graduated, before my daughter graduated.
So I'm assuming that our sound is good, based on nobody except for Tom making jokes.
Tom's got jokes.
Yeah. So this is not the actual podcast portion, Luna Girl. Don't worry. This is just the sound check. But we are going live for real in just a second.
Check it out, Luna Girl. And honestly, this was not on purpose. This was the hat I was wearing when I was painting.
It's fine. I'm not surprised.
Because, look at this thing.
Yeah.
I've done so much sweating in this hat. It's just you could probably run some really interesting science experiments with this hat. It's washed. I mean, it's clean, but you can see like that's sweat sun bleaching happening.
Yeah. Like a true germaphobe would never touch that.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is wearing it as a golf hat every summer, for a couple of years. And being out in the sun in the summertime, one tends to sweat.
Mm-hmm.
It's what you do.
I mean, I'm judging from the silence from the audience. I guess we're good.
I think we're all right.
So
what could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, then I guess we're just gonna jump right into this.
Let's do it.
We'll do it. So I'll do the.
Did you want the notes back up there? Or do you want the?
Oh, fuck. Well, this is the discography, so if
right.
we want to reference it at any point, we can just
probably need to.
Okay. So we'll get into just mention a very quick blurb about Podbelly.
Right.
What we're talking about today, trying to get that in the beginning. And then I had that quick Columbus Day thing, and then our weeks in the topic.
Let's do it.
All right. So you're going to play the video, and I'll do the From a Gen X Point of View is brought to you by.
Raj.
Do the Podbelly pitch.
Boom. Ready, set.
From a Gen X point of view is brought to you today by
Podbelly.com. We haven't mentioned Podbelly in a while.
Yeah.
And now that we're fully back up on status with Podbelly and back on the front page of Podbelly.com.
That's right.
I think it's a cause. It's a celebration.
The celebration, bitches. Yeah, we are official members. Not all things Star Wars. From a Gen X point of view, are now official members of the Podbelly Network.
Yes. So, and with all the gifts and prizes that comes with, whatever they might be.
No idea.
Yeah.
It's certainly not additional traffic, I can tell you that much.
Yeah, right. So, but go to podbelly.com. You can find us as an easy spot to find the From a Gen X Point of View podcast.
Yep.
And also podcasts like ATSW, The Escape Pod. All Things Star Wars is still on there, so you can still go on there and see us through there. And Sofa Kings and a bunch of other guys. Go to podbelly.com. And you will do it.
And you will do it. So, what are we talking about on this podcast today?
It's week 2 of a more solemn.
Yes, because after last week's recording, we vowed a more upbeat topic.
Yeah.
And then the next day, after we recorded the last podcast.
Yeah, 2020 once again fucking kicked us square in the nuts.
Yeah, Eddie Van Halen passed away.
All right, so this week we are doing a tribute of sorts to Van Halen, and rest in peace, Eddie Van Halen.
Yep, that's right. So that'll be our main topic today, but we have a few other things to get to before that. First of all, today we're recording this on Columbus Day.
You mean Indigenous Peoples Day?
It's still Columbus Day on a lot of calendars. The fucking Air National Guard is still calling it Columbus Day. Yeah, and here's the thing. Quite frankly, I don't give a fuck what you call it. You can call it Indigenous Peoples Day. You can call it fucking Immigrants Day. You can call it BLM Day. I don't care. I don't give a shit. Just don't touch my day off. All right? I don't give a fuck what you call it. I just want my federal holiday.
Yes.
So
this is one of the few true days off that we get, like unfettered, like no conditions. This is a federal holiday. However it came to be. Call it the mid-October fucking fuckfest. But
ooh, I like that.
Mid-October fuckfest. You heard it here first, folks. But yeah, I agree. This is a much-needed break from basically going over a month without having an extra day off. I mean, for me anyway. I know your schedule still incorporates some off Fridays, like under normal,
off Fridays
under normal circumstances.
Right.
Under normal circumstances.
My current circumstances, this is a very welcome fucking day off.
Yes.
So, and again, we know the history of Columbus at this point. I fucking knew it back when I was in school. Like, everybody knew Columbus was an asshole. He didn't technically discover America, blah, 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 blah. Don't care. Don't care.
What was it, October 9th is Leif Erikson's Day?
I don't even know what that is.
Leif Erikson's Day? You remember the SpongeBob episode?
I never really watched SpongeBob.
Oh my god.
So, but anyway, all I'm saying is I know the history. I know he was an asshole. I know he did a lot of bad shit. Whatever. A lot of people in history did a lot of bad shit. Call it whatever you want. Take it away. But the fucking virtue signaling, I can see all of the fucking virtue signaling on Facebook from fucking space. Okay? It's like every year at this time, people, I don't know what, there's some sort of like leftist currency. Like the more you can preach on Facebook, the more currency you get. I don't know. I think that's how that works. But
must be that's their data mining for Bitcoin. You know?
Oh, that's got to be it. So, I mean, it was all over today. I'm just like, no one gives a shit, dude. Really, I don't fucking care. So that's all. Happy Columbus Day, everybody.
Happy day off day. Happy October fuckfest.
Yes. So anything else?
I don't know.
Anything
what?
Else?
I think let's talk about our weeks.
All right.
I'm super anxious to get to
the main topic.
Because it's the unfortunate thing about Eddie Van Halen passing away that brings a topic like this up, but it's a really good opportunity for us to kind of look back at into some music that we maybe didn't listen to recently. So,
and that's been happening for the last week. So, talking about my week first. So today is day 12 of Sober October for me. Right. You know, I've been talking this up since I don't know, probably early summer. I was talking about doing Sober October this year, and I'm still going strong with it. I actually feel fucking incredible.
Yeah.
I feel really good. Physically, mentally, I feel really good. I don't know how much of this actually has to do with the Sober October, but fuck it, I'll take it.
Yeah.
You know? And I think I'm going to touch on this a little bit when we start talking about the Van Halen stuff, but, you know, one of the, I've kind of, I wouldn't say it's a new thing, but I've kind of discovered a new way to deal with life that's making it a lot less stressful.
Yeah.
I just don't fucking care. You know, I'm done bringing work home with me.
Yeah.
Like those days were the worst
Yeah.
when I would let work stress me the fuck out and I'd bring it home with me. It would affect my relationship with Kristen. It would, you know, it would affect my mood all day. I'm done. You know, the beauty of where I'm at is I can go in, I can do my fucking job, I can do it well, and not go above and beyond and fucking kill myself like I see a lot of people do.
Yeah.
And still, you know, be a contributing member of the squadron. So,
and guess what? Normal, like, people that operate like at a higher, like really high functioning people tend, even when they're stressing themselves out because they don't believe their level of functionality, like they're not doing enough. You know, maybe I should be doing more, like, because you're trying to prevent any kind of negativity, whatever that may be. I mean, I do the same fucking thing, man.
Yeah.
Most of my career in our former, you know, flying on the white jet, that was a lot of, like, I was nonstop. That's all I did was lived and breathed it.
oh, I remember.
So, which made me really, really good at my job. But my stress level was so high all the time. And it took me really till I got sick. When I got sick and you know, had that really, you know, the term near-death experience is really cliched, but like what could have happened, you know, in that respect was like, it was enough to kind of like pull the throttle back a couple knobs and when my body just told me to, like, it wouldn't let me get to that same level because I just don't have that same, I get, you know, tired too easy. But I'm noticing now, so this is what's really funny you bring this up, right? You're going to go in there and you are at the level of performance that you're going to give them is going to be better than what most people are doing. Just because, just by the nature of it, right? You have experience, you know what you're doing, you go in there, you apply yourself, boom, you're going to do above average, right?
Right.
Whereas most people have to work really hard just to get to that average if they ever attain it. And a lot of them don't. For me, it's been the same thing. Like, I am not at this new squadron, right? I'm still technically in the Matrix, right? I just don't have to wear the uniform.
Yeah.
So I've noticed that what I'm doing, I'm putting as much into work as I think it deserves, right? I'm earning my paycheck. And they keep fucking giving me awards. It's fucking crazy. Like, I went 22 years with such little recognition for the level of competence and everything that I gave to the military, and came out with almost nothing. You know, I could talk volumes about that.
Yeah.
But now I notice that I'm going in there. I'm just being me, right? Not taking this home with me.
Yeah.
As much as I can.
Right. Well,
and still
teleworking notwithstanding.
Yeah, teleworking makes it hard, but
Yeah.
you do. It's so much less stress when you can be like, you know what, that problem, that's future Dave problem, or that's future Jason problem. That you know, I'm home now. I don't have to deal with that. I'm unplugged, and fucking it is very liberating.
Yeah, and I'm kind of taking that philosophy with almost everything in life at this point. Like, I don't want to have regrets, man. I don't want to fucking be on my deathbed and be like, oh, you know, I didn't get to do all these things I wanted to do, but at least I put in those extra hours of work, you know? So that's...
No, you're never going to say that.
Yeah.
And trust me, because it nearly put me in the ground because of just not necessarily taking it seriously, but taking it too seriously.
Yeah. And again, I remember that, so... one last thing on my Sober October is I passed the Stonehouse test. So for most of you, pretty much the only person that would get this is Nick, who also works on the base.
Right.
There's a little burger joint right outside base called Stonehouse. Fucking amazing place. But whenever I go there, it's burgers, their fucking Cajun fries,
Oh, yeah.
whatever. It is not the healthiest stuff. But I have a coworker that I normally go there with on a regular basis, and she wanted to go this last week. And I'm
Right.
like, I'm really trying to eat healthy. And she tells me, they've got salads and stuff. I'm like, fuck. I'm afraid that as soon as I get in there and I smell those fucking burgers and those fries, it's going to be all over.
I can do it one day.
But I did not cave. I got a Greek salad with some grouper, the fish.
Right.
And it was fucking awesome. It was great. So I'm like, holy shit. And it was like a vinaigrette dressing. It was a fucking fantastic.
Good.
So I was able to go into Stonehouse and not get my normal Cajun and pepper jack burger with the Cajun fries. So,
Their salads are actually really good.
Yeah.
In there, when I was doing the keto thing, that I found that their menu was obviously burgers are keto supported, but I did a lot of salads. Dude, that fucking Greek salad that they have is real good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Excuse me. With the
That's
lamb.
what I had.
Yeah.
So yeah, good shit. So moving on. Problem?
Another bug.
Oh,
It's buzzing the tower.
yeah. So I talked about it last week, and this was the shitty thing that part of the reason that I wanted to talk about Van Halen today was last week I had mentioned that my guitar that I had ordered had come in. Big Swede recommended, really good acoustic guitar. I bought it online, was waiting for it to get to the store, the Guitar Center here in Cherry Hill, and I'm in the car, or I'm walking towards the car, right? I'm leaving work, walking to the car, and I see the notice on my phone about Eddie Van Halen, and I'm about to go and pick up my very first fucking guitar. So it was just like this weird, ironic situation where finally, I'm taking the plunge. I've wanted to play guitar my whole life, probably because I saw Eddie Van Halen playing in the early 80s on MTV, and, I've always wanted to play, but now I finally have the drive to do it. And as I'm going to pick it up, we get the news that he dies. So it's like, wow.
Yeah.
Speaking of things that have died recently, my interest level in the NFL is just about dead. I don't know what the fuck the 49ers are doing. It's a shit show. And honestly, we've talked about this before. Like, everything feels like a preseason game, except unless you're watching fucking Seattle, who are playing like goddamn gods right now.
Yeah, you didn't watch any of that game last night?
I haven't watched a single game in the last 2 weeks.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched that Seattle game. Like, Russell Wilson is on another level right now. It's pretty crazy. Did you get it?
I thought I did.
Come on, Mr. Miyagi, fucking get that shit.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, honestly, with the no crowds and how we didn't get the preseason, injuries are through the roof. Fucking rest in peace, Dak Prescott. Holy shit, man.
Did you see the replays of that at least?
Of course.
I was watching that live. Like, fuck! Like, it was one of those where you're watching it and you see him, like, he's sitting on the floor, right? And the camera's kind of panned in and he's, like, holding his knees. He's sitting down. And you see his one foot is just at a weird angle.
Yeah.
And Romo knows it right away. Romo's like, oh no, right? They cut to commercial. They come back to the fucking, to show the replay. Like, maybe he fucking rolled it or something like that. Oh yeah, he rolled it. He rolled it right out of the fucking socket. And I haven't seen anything like they said like exactly what happened?
Compound fracture, I think.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, because he was going like right into surgery last night.
Yeah,
so.
that shit. Watching that live, they only showed that replay once, and I think afterwards when
they realized, they're like, oh no.
Yeah,
it's all over YouTube though.
When Jim Nantz was like, what? It's like, okay, let's not show this anymore.
Yeah. But yeah, my interest in football is going downhill very, very quickly, and it's just another symptom of fucking 2020, and I think we just need to move on and just pretend this was all a bad dream.
Yeah.
And start fresh in 21.
Yeah, that would be nice.
So
it would be nice to fast forward.
Yeah. So that's been my week pretty much. How about you?
So I put in a notes. I'm not even supposed to be here today. It's a Clerks reference. I'm sure everyone out there gets
it. If you don't get it, fucking stop listening to our show.
Yeah, you
don't deserve to listen to
You're going to have a tough time. Mm-hmm. Scott, I'll get to Jimmy G here in a second. So, I'm actually this week, because of the long weekend, I usually do a golf trip. Like, I go down bunch of friends that I have. They're from the New England area.
Mm-hmm.
We, go down to Myrtle Beach and play golf for a week and fuck off, and it's always a good time.
Yep.
And I look forward to it every year. This year, because fuck you 2020, just fucked up everything. Because we were supposed to go to play at this course called Pinehurst. Really fucking just it's a bucket list golf trip for people who are into golf, and we just couldn't make it happen. So I kept my days off because I need them. I need the days off. I just need it. But yeah, like I should be there right now. Like tomorrow would be the last day of playing, and I would be back to work on Wednesday.
I do remember your annual golf outings.
Yeah, it's because it's kind of the only vacation I ever took, honestly. It's the only time I ever really took leave was to go play golf,
right,
or around my anniversary. So it's bittersweet because this weekend went so fucking fast. Like the fact that we're sitting here on Monday already, like, because I took off on Friday.
Yeah,
because that's when the trip would have started, and I was like, I got all the shit I want to get done, in my time off, everything else. Next thing I know, I wake up this morning, and it's fucking Monday already. Yeah. Like, God damn it! So, hence spending the whole day, at my second job at the lodge, doing stuff.
Your volunteer job.
My volunteer job, exactly. But yeah, I'm not even supposed to be here today. I was thinking about that as I was pulling up. I did get a chance to play some more squadrons. Like this past week, I was so fucking busy. I wasn't able to play like the entire week.
Right.
So this weekend, I was like, let me log some hours into squadrons. I'm still enjoying it. I don't know. You probably haven't downloaded it yet.
No, I'm seeing a lot of internet traffic on it. I'm seeing a lot of like gaming websites and stuff posting articles about it. Like, oh, this is how to get into fleet battles and stuff like that. So
I think what I'm really hoping is that they take what they've got right now with the interface, because I'm still doing more dogfighting because it's generally speaking, there's a little bit of a too long of a login time between games.
Oh,
like it's enough time to go take a piss, get something to eat, come back, and it's still kind of going in, and you have to ready up.
That really kind of takes you out of the the mood.
But it's like a 15, like if you're doing a dogfight sequence, it's like 15 minutes, and if you're doing the fleet battle, it can be even longer. So it does give you an opportunity to get up and kind of walk around, and but you kind of come out and come back into it. I would really like to have an individual mission thing where I can gain rank. You would in the old TIE Fighter game when you were going through. Okay, you got to do this simulation, and then you go fight the battle. And if you do well in the battle, then you come back and you get promoted, right? And then that's how you work up through the promotion system in the Imperial Navy.
Right.
So I wish there was some element of that. Because right now I'm just participating in dogfights and just enjoying the shit out of flying the TIE Fighter, because it's a lot of fun being in the cockpit flying that, and it's super super responsive to joystick. Like I'm still using the thing, and I'm so tempted to ask to borrow the HOTAS system, but you can't buy it. I'm gonna get used to it, and I'm gonna want it, and you can't buy them anywhere. They're fucking still sold out everywhere.
Huh?
Yeah, it's
why.
Because this and Flight Sim came out within.
Oh, the Flight Sim.
Right. Flight Sim came out in August, and people were starting to buy it up then.
Yeah.
And by the way, the Flight Simulator for 2020 is fucking phenomenal. It is amazing.
Yeah.
Go on YouTube and look at some of the flight stuff. They have like comparison for approaches like into LAX.
Yeah.
Like at dusk or something like that. And you see like the terrain is all exactly the same. I think the only difference that it's a simulator is the runway lights are a little bit brighter than they're supposed to be.
Right.
But the only way you'd know that is if you actually fucking flown into somewhere. So anyway, so many good opportunities for like simulator type stuff, and the Squadrons thing. I'm still enjoying it. I just wish there was something a little bit more tiered, so that I could earn my way in, through the story, kind of create a character and move them up.
Yeah, like a progression, a natural progression.
Exactly, and then have the online play also, which would be nice.
Yeah.
And I haven't figured out how to make like a squadron. So I'm running through Origins, right? It's basically the EA's comparison thing.
Right.
So I'm running through Origins. I think a lot of people I end up playing with are using Steam, which is fine. But to add like friends and stuff like that, it won't communicate with the Xbox servers. It's like my PC handle doesn't necessarily cross-platform into whatever's going on the Xbox, at least that I've seen. So, like trying to like if Luna Girl's out there, and her and Dragon Buddy are playing that particular day, I can't go and fly with them to make a squadron to go and do this thing. It's not very intuitive.
That's
So yeah, and I think that was kind of what they sold a little bit.
Yeah.
Like you're flying into a squadron element where you're talking to each other and everything else, but it's so random right now that I'd have to have like you'd have to get in, and I'd have to get Nick on the PC.
Yeah.
And then I'll see when you guys are logged in, and then we can do it that way. But so far, I haven't done that with anybody.
Yeah, that's a shame considering that the whole thing was built around the concept of squads and groups.
Yeah, exactly. And it does. You're flying in there as a squadron, but the dogfighting especially, like it does. There's no benefit to really being on anybody's wing for stuff like that, because I'm trying to get kills. I'm trying to go in there and steal somebody else's kill.
You could be my wingman anytime.
Yeah.
Bullshit. You could be mine.
Yeah, that hurt. You can't clack your teeth like that. Hopefully, it didn't hear it on the thing. So, college football is coming up on the radar for Big Ten fans.
So, are they playing?
Yeah, it's not this weekend. It's next weekend, I think.
Do they have any concept for how many games they're going to play?
Yeah, they have a whole schedule out. They're going to do a championship game, I think, in December, like 19th or 20th, something like that. So, but it's not going to be like the same divisions that we're used to seeing.
Right.
I'm just like you with the NFL. I'm with you with the NFL and with college, because the Eagles lost. They played as good as they were going to play against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is a better football team.
Yeah, who'd have thought?
Yeah, and the Eagles showed some heart and they came back in that game. So I can't really fucking complain about it too much, but the product is still just, they had like 6,000 fans in the stands in Pittsburgh. So it's like, okay, it's cool to see like kind of start progressing to something like that. And then as I'm watching the later games, like at the Dallas game, they had, it seems like significantly more people there. And then you look at the Seattle game, and there's nobody in the stands.
Right.
So we're still at a point where they're only playing these exhibition games for
I like exposition games better.
yeah, right, it might as well be. They're playing this for the television audience, and even the announcers are saying that, like, this is watching the Fox pregame show, they're talking about how the product that's out there right now, they're trying to make it work so that the viewing audience, like why they're having a game on Tuesday night is so we can have our weekly football fix. And that's cool and all, but Ivo G said the referees suck though. Screwed both Steelers and Eagles. Yeah, that Steelers game with the Eagles, they called that game so tight. I don't know if it was like maybe they were told like, hey, these two teams are they're going to get real chippy with each other. Back in the day, Eagles Steelers game, like that rivalry used to be like punch you in the face fucking type thing all the time.
Yeah,
like little fisticuffs engaging and shit like that. I haven't seen that in a couple of years. I mean, the Steelers have gone and had their success, and the Eagles have gone and had theirs. There hasn't really been that interstate rivalry nearly as much. So, but they fucking went into that game. The refs were like, "Oh no, that was fucking pass interference. No, that was all these ticky tack fucking calls, and it just it took a little bit of the edge off the game, unfortunately." But, I mean, either way, the Steelers were the better team. They won. College football, watching Penn State, that first game that they're going to play, and watching them play in an empty stadium is going to be really, really, really fucking weird. Like, really weird. So, and I have very low expectations for the product. I really do. But, yeah, we are. And by the way, just a little add-on here to finish off my week. I'm 97% certain that I'm going to get my first fantasy win.
I mean, it seems likely. I mean, you never know.
Right? They're still saying you have a chance.
Yeah, you're telling me there's a chance.
All right. So it was me versus Jason this week, which I didn't even realize till late. And I'm like, oh shit, this is Jason.
Yeah.
And then we're like looking, and all the stuff, the midweek stuff came up with the fucking game being pushed till Tuesday and all the other stuff. It's really tough to keep track of. And I'm like, this is what I got. Fuck it, I'm rolling it out.
Yeah.
And thankfully, the homer, like the San Francisco homer, didn't start Jimmy Garoppolo because Jimmy G got a whole negative like 1.26 points.
I picked him up midweek because he came back off of injury. They announced that he was going to play in the game.
Yeah.
Nobody had him. I had an extra slot. Like somehow I ended up with an extra bench slot, which I think is from when you gave everybody one. I just never filled it. So I'm like, fuck it. I'll grab Jimmy G.
Right.
Since Aaron Rodgers also was on a bye this week for me, you know, one of my biggest point scorers.
Right.
And, but for some reason, like, I'm like, yeah, I'm not ready to put Jimmy G into the lineup yet. Let me just go with what I
honestly, and that's what Lynch should have been saying. Like, well, maybe Jimmy G's not quite ready to be out here yet because it took him a whole half of football to figure out that, hey, you're not ready for fucking to play yet, based on your air quote injury.
Yeah, they got stopped by Miami. Oh, it was just stupid.
Yeah, that on every calendar on every team, you usually, unless you're New England, you chalk Miami up as a loss. So yeah, hey, you know what? I'll take my first fantasy win. I need wins now so that I can at least forecast some sort of playoff spot.
Mm-hmm.
Playoffs. Yeah, that's exactly where I'm at. Like, there's no fucking way.
I just hope we can win a game.
And yes, that's exactly. I've been the Detroit Lions of our fantasy league.
Oh God, the meme. I think it was Solsky actually posted it. The Lions versus the bye week. And the Lions still lost.
The Lions lost the bye week.
That might be the best football meme I've seen all year.
Yeah.
So.
And you know what? Good on you, Don, for suffering accordingly. You know, we as football fans of franchise, well, at least me as a football franchise that has dealt with a lot of just absolute garbage football teams. Yeah, Jason's 49ers have had unparalleled success in most of his lifetime. So
please, from like 2001 until fucking the 1 year Kaepernick took him to the Super Bowl, that was like a 12 or 13 year drought where there were no playoff appearances, no nothing. We were like 1-15, 2-14 for several years in there. So
good.
I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, I enjoy your suffering.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. So, are we ready to move to our main topic?
Yes, let's do it.
All right. Do you need a break or anything?
No, I'm good.
Man, we're doing a lot of these without breaks. When I'm not drinking alcohol, strangely, we don't have to take a lot of breaks during the show. It's fucking weird.
It's funny how that works.
Yeah, it's a strange coincidence. So, Van Halen. You know, we already talked about the passing of Eddie Van Halen. And I think the way we're going to do this is kind of talk about some of our childhood and even early adulthood experiences with Van Halen. I'm sure we're going to get into the Roth and Hagar years and the comparison between the two, who was better and whatnot. And then we're going to close it with our top 5 Van Halen songs list. So we'll do it the same way we do all of our top 5s.
Right.
So, yeah, getting into it. First thing, as I was doing research, I was watching a lot of videos, a lot of interviews. Did not realize they were discovered by Gene Simmons from Kiss.
Neither did I.
Yeah, apparently he was watching them playing in a nightclub or a club, you know, in the LA fucking scene where all the rock bands were coming up. And he's like, yeah, you guys got a manager? You guys got a label? And they're like, what's that?
Yeah.
And so I guess he brought them into his studio. They made some tracks, like some demo tracks, and that's eventually what got them their record deals. So
yeah, what? Am I thinking something? They weren't going to be Van Halen, right? They were.
Their original name was
something,
or like Meathead or something like that.
Something like that. It began with an M.
Yeah, it was a weird name, and they had that name before they brought David Lee Roth into the group. I think he joined in the early 70s, 73 time frame. This is not a detailed history of Van Halen, by the way. This is more of just our experiences. I just wanted to set the stage.
Yeah, thank God, because I don't remember this shit.
Oh, yeah, no. Well, most of the stuff I discovered this week as I was doing a lot of research and watching a lot of videos. So, but they hit the scene in 78 when their debut album came out. And for fuck's sake, man, I was looking at their discography.
Yeah.
those early years, they were churning out like an album every like 9 fucking months, it seemed like. Because they've got Van Halen came out in 78, February 78, Van Halen 2, March of 79, Women and Children First, March of 80, Fair Warning, April of 81, Diver Down, April of 82. So yeah, basically one a year. Every spring, they were releasing a fucking album. That's unheard of nowadays. A full fucking album every single year. And then, of course, 1984, the album came out in January of 84. And that's, for me, that's where I picked up Van Halen. So kind of getting into a bit of our histories now. Our early exposure to Van Halen. For me, it was MTV. And I know I've mentioned this on the show before. My exposure to music, for the most part, was through MTV. We had cable very early on, and we had it when MTV debuted in, what was it, 81? And Van Halen, my first exposure to them were the videos for Jump and Panama.
Right.
And then later on, Hot for Teacher. In fact, I remember it being a big deal when Hot for Teacher came out. Like MTV did this preview. They're like, oh, Friday night at 8 p.m., the debut of the new Van Halen music video, Hot for Teacher. And there were like fucking interviews with the band leading up to it and everything.
Yeah,
it was a big
what
deal.
a weird concept right now to think that, like, there was a big deal made out of a fucking music video getting ready to come out.
Yeah.
Because such production, we kind of take for granted these days that the production level of what we're watching, like on Netflix and Amazon Prime, and you can fucking some random YouTuber can have this like professional quality fucking video, whereas these artists, once they got to some level of fame, they had like movie production style fucking videos.
Yeah.
Cuts, and not just what they were doing live, and just have all this shit. Thank what's his nuts, the Take On Me fucking video.
Oh yeah, aha.
Yeah, which that's, to me, is my introduction to fucking MTV. Is like the genesis of it.
Sure, because in the very beginning, in the early days, most of the music videos were just of the band performing, right, in some sort of either a concert setting or in just some sort of a fucking sound stage,
right?
And in fact, Jump and Panama were basically that. It was just the band playing.
Cut shots.
Yeah, and then when you got to Hot for Teacher, that's when they started introducing characters and stories and things like that because of the nature of the song. All these kids and their fucking hot ass teacher.
So this is for people that enjoyed Van Halen as kids and kind of like grew up and matured into it and really appreciated for the music of it. When even just saying the words together, "Hot for Teacher," like that shit starts playing in my head.
Oh yeah,
the whole fucking skit starts going in my head. All I have to do is hear those fucking words together or see them together on a piece of paper, and fucking and it just starts like that. It's key to the music. There it is.
Yeah. But I mean, and the thing that stuck out with these early videos, which the ironic thing is these were the last days of David Lee Roth being in the band.
Right.
But what really stuck out for me, in addition to Eddie and his fucking crazy guitaring, was just David Lee Roth and just his showmanship. Right. Because it was all about the performance for him. He was the greatest showman on MTV. He was always out there doing his fucking high kicks and doing all of his crazy shit. So that's why when the transition went to Sammy Hagar, I was very resistant at first, and we'll get into that. But that was my history with Van Halen from the start. So 1984, which was their fucking sixth album.
Yeah,
and again their last album with David Lee Roth for a while was my first exposure to them. So passing it over to you.
So 1984. So Van Halen, like being in the Philadelphia area, we had, I think I spoke about this before, we had the benefit of having a like legitimate rock station. We actually had two of them because WMMR was one station on 93.3, and then 94 YSP was still a rock station at the time. So they kind of competed against each other. So when new releases and shit like that came out, I had the benefit of being able to hear that shit on the radio.
Yeah.
So the big hits out from 1984 that we'd hear on the radio, like, oh yeah, I like this. This is cool. There was a kid in my youth group in church growing up. I figure 1984, 9 years old, right? And so he actually was able to, like, church youth group, you don't think about Van Halen music, but he would actually
Sure.
sit behind the piano and he played Jump on the piano.
Oh, nice.
So that's another like kind of aspect of this music where with Jump, it immediately brings me back to those moments, like where he was playing it on the piano,
Right, or the synthesizer and all that. Yeah,
well,
yeah.
But he's doing it on like the regular piano because.
Oh, okay. You're still talking about your buddy, yeah.
Yeah. So that was like every time you get near a piano, would play that, and that was Van Halen was kind of like, okay, yeah, this is cool, we enjoyed it, but it wasn't until For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge came out and I was in high school where it's kind of like developing more of a taste in music because I went from Van Halen to like heavy metal.
Right.
I went towards like bands like Pantera and
I was the same way
and shit like that. So Van Halen was like I never got into like the White Snakes and the I really was never even into AC/DC, which by the way I heard some fucking DJ on Sirius Satellite Radio was talking about how AC/DC was like the greatest fucking rock band. I'm like,
the funny thing is, besides the songs that were part of Maximum Overdrive, the movie, I was never a big AC/DC fan either. Like,
and the fact, I think they're just talking shit because they just put out a fucking album. But yeah, I was never there. And so the Van Halen, like the rock music of Van Halen, that was kind of like the last rock music I was into for a long time.
yeah.
It took a while for that to come back, that pendulum to come back. Really not until Foo Fighters. Because if you think about it, Van Halen to me, Van Halen and Foo Fighters are like the defining rock bands of those generations. So, Power Rangers?
I think that's the right answer. Anyway, interacting with the chat. Never you mind.
So yeah, For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge in high school, which was the Sammy Hagar, really the pinnacle of what Sammy Hagar was doing to me. As far as the music for the music anyway.
Now here's a question: were you aware of Sammy Hagar's music before he joined Van Halen? Because see, for me, I knew the song "I Can't Drive 55."
Okay,
because
I might have heard that song, but that's not a single song. Does not a volume make?
Oh no, because I understand he had a lot of solo records before that. But what I'm saying is. I knew the song "I Can't Drive 55." Again, it was a video on MTV. I knew the name Sammy Hagar, so I recognized him. So it wasn't like, who's this fucking schmuck joining the band? And the funny thing, too, is as a 7-year-old, I fucking loved that song, even though I was still 9 years away from driving. The whole "I Can't Drive 55" was a very catchy song. But
think of like '93 when "Life Is a Highway" came out.
I see, and I hated that song when it first came out. I didn't appreciate it until way later.
Yeah, that was a big that particular song, sidebarring off of Van Halen. But that particular song, like "Life Is a Highway," that was like kind of our theme song. Like me and my group of friends in high school, it was just like we're getting ready to get our licenses, and it was just kind of like real. Yeah, it just kind of stuck as one of the songs. But yeah, anyway.
So you bring up a good point about the whole hard rock. What?
The correct answer is Spaceballs. So let's rewind for a second because we have Scott Rasmussen who runs the Use and Abuse podcast, which was at the time, for most of his episodes have been about music.
Sure.
And so he's doing more things now.
Yeah, he's doing trivia in the chat, basically.
Yeah, so Scott's question was, what movie soundtrack and movie first showcased the new Van Halen era with Sammy Hagar? And there was a lot of answers in here. Big Swede talking about Twister. Jason put out the Power Rangers.
Which was before Twister.
Then Human Beings. That's
Humans Being, that's the one from Twister.
Yeah. The correct answer is Spaceballs.
Now, what track in Spaceballs featured Van Halen? Because I know there was the Bon Jovi track going on when Barf was dancing around the fucking thing, but that was Bon Jovi. I don't remember a fucking Van Halen tune being played during that.
thinking like that. It'll take
All
me
right.
a
Well,
minute.
yeah. Somebody catch us up in the chat. But moving on with the show. So you mentioned the whole hard rock scene and everything in high school. I went through the exact same thing, right? We transitioned from what we were doing in the 80s. Guns N' Roses was that kind of gateway drug for me. Transitioning from like the hair bands of the 80s to like the fucking like hard rock into the heavy metal. And it wasn't until Metallica broke out. We could do a whole Metallica episode because
Easily.
the Black Album came out. That was their big mainstream album. I'd known of Metallica, but I didn't have much exposure. Then after that album came back, I went and listened to their back catalog. But that was kind of what got me and all of my group of friends into going back and starting to listen to older hard rock. And that got me back into listening to the first Van Halen album.
Okay.
The Van Halen 1. Fucking love that album to this day after going back and listening to it when I was in high school. I know every lyric to every fucking song, start to finish, in that fucking album. Most of my top 5 list is going to comprise of stuff from that fucking album. That got me into like this whole hard rock resurgence. Got me into like listening to the back catalog, and
Right.
that's when I'm like, ooh man, this was good shit. This was the pre 1984 stuff. I had really no visibility on.
Yeah, you'd hear they had a couple hits obviously off of those albums because
Oh sure.
and those are the ones I was familiar with. Like for me, when 1984 came out, I was like, oh wow, this band Van Halen. This by the way, they've been doing shit for 10 years before I fucking
Right.
caught on to
And
it.
then if you look at their stuff, then the Panamas, Jump, Hot for Teacher, it's they're very kind of upbeat. They're they're kind of closer in line with some of the 80s rock
Right.
and everything. And you go back and you re-listen to some of this earlier stuff, and it's a lot grittier. Just
the maturation process of them as musicians.
But, and then we're going to get into like Eddie too, and like his desire to constantly change and include new sounds and new things, because that was a big driver for really why they broke up with their lead singers a couple of times and everything, because of Eddie's ambition, we'll say.
Well, and here's something for me that always stood out about Van Halen. You have a brother. You have Alex and Eddie Van Halen, right? These extremely talented musicians that have managed to like have a band. Regardless, like Mike Anthony was with them for a while, and I can tell you right now, Mike Anthony is the only bass player that I know the name of. Like you could tell me any other band, I can't tell you who the fuck plays bass in a goddamn band.
And I hate to say it, but bass players are very replaceable.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Michael Anthony, or any bass players out there.
And I'm sure he was, and he had his. I should grab the bottle of Jack Daniels. He had the Jack Daniels fucking bass
swinging on the fucking jack, yeah. But yeah, and honestly, drummers are not that far behind.
But Alex Van Halen, to me, like, and again, my taste in music is all about how I like what I like to hear, not necessarily like kind of riding the coattails of what from a music. Somebody who plays drums or plays guitar or anything else, they're going to have a different view of the music. Where I'm just going to hear it and I like that.
Yeah.
And Alex Van Halen, for me, like some of the drum solos that you got to see on fucking MTV, some of the live shows that they did, and some of the tracks that they cut for the albums, the drum solos were fucking phenomenal.
Yeah,
just super into it. And honestly, so I know some of the songs that we're going to get into on our lists are going to have important drum interludes into it, well as Eddie's amazingness.
Well, even Hot for Teacher, like we've talked about a million times already up to this point, it starts with that drum riff and everything. So
but I was always like Van Halen being like these two incredibly talented artists, and how can you compete? Like if you're in a band and you're trying to like you have siblings that are like, no, this is our talent level, and you could either be with us to make this journey and make these changes, or you're out.
Yeah,
and more times. Enough times.
They
were out.
Yeah. So in preparation for this episode, I went back. I watched a lot of interviews with Eddie, Alex, David Lee Roth, Sammy Hagar, because I was just curious, like what the real story is. Because there's different versions. Like with they're split with Roth and with Hagar. One story is, they quit. The other story is they were fired for both fucking singers.
Right.
And, everybody's got their own versions. But just listening to the interviews, even when they're not talking about the splits and they're just talking about the band and things that they're doing, I got a real idea for the different personalities between, Eddie, fucking Sammy, and Roth. First of all, Eddie comes off as a very... he's super talented, but he's also kind of a control freak.
Right.
Because this is his baby, so to speak. And there were, in the early days, I guess there were things that he wanted to do that he got a lot of pushback from David Lee Roth and from, I guess, one of their early managers, where he wanted to try different sounds. He wanted to play the synthesizer, play the piano, and they were like, nah, we're a rock and roll band. We're just going to do the rock and roll stuff. And, he didn't like that. Yeah. So that ended up driving a wedge between him and David Lee Roth. And, again, Roth too, he had a huge ego. You could see his ego from fucking Orbit.
Yeah.
The guy was so full of himself and still is to this day.
Oh, yeah. Everything that he's done since then. I mean, even when he was doing his little bit of a solo thing, which, give me more than 2 songs that David Lee Roth did without Van Halen.
Right.
Yeah, I'll wait.
California Girls is the only one I remember.
Yeah.
And fun fact, sidebar. So when he came out with California Girls, this was not long after 1984 and their music videos for that. As an 8-year-old kid, I thought that was Van Halen playing California Girls and not just David Lee Roth.
Dude, 100%. The same exact thing. Because I didn't separate the two at that point. Because I know, why would I? Because it's the same sound. It's the same singer.
And the video styles were the same. And I guess David Lee Roth had a lot of inputs into the way the music videos were done for the 84 videos and then his own solo stuff.
He liked a lot of the low camera looking up at his crotch. Anything that he could do to fucking have the camera looking straight up at his taint. That's exactly what they wanted.
Which goes right again with his ego.
Yep.
And then, Sammy Hagar, he just comes off as... a guy who just wants to play music. He's just, he's just there for the ride. And I was watching one interview where Eddie was basically saying he didn't want to put in the work. We were trying to do all this new stuff, make these new albums, and Sammy was just kind of showing up and just doing whatever. So allegedly, again, this is you're hearing one version of a story.
So here's to me. So I'm not going to go and make this as my arguments for why Sammy Hagar is better than David Lee Roth or anything like that. Mm-hmm. Sammy Hagar, looking at it from this perspective, having come from enjoying For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge, and then coming away from it and then coming back to it after having now I'm a Buffett fan since then. Mm-hmm. That personality type, he was a very flip flops and fucking casual type dude.
Yeah.
Because even musically, that's what that was. I Can't Drive 55, all the stuff that he did.
And then look at the stuff he's done afterwards, too, with the Mas Tequila and all that stuff.
Yeah, and he has his own tequila brand, and he's a very Jimmy Buffett type of personality.
Yes.
Whereas that, I could see that being a direct contrast. You went from David Lee Roth to this guy. You went from this high energy coke fiend to fucking some dude who sips some tequila. $200 bottles of tequila, which is fucking crazy. The whole Cabo Wabo brand is insanely expensive. Yeah. But it's just now at this age, looking back on it, I was like, oh, okay, I get it. Oh, this is the kind of guy that dude is. And I can totally see, because musically it changed so much.
Yes.
It changed the sound of the band, changed so much with Sammy in it. Mm-hmm. Not for better, for worse, or anything else. It was so different.
Right, and it wasn't just the vocals either. It was the way they were composing the tracks and the guitar and everything else, and just, again, all of the new sounds they were introducing. So, before we get too deep into it, do you have any Sammy Hagar specific thoughts before we kind of contrast and compare the two? Because it's like you said, Hagar was our high school years, right?
Yeah.
Roth was our elementary school years, and then in high school it was, the 5150, OU 812, Unlawful Carnal Knowledge.
Right.
It was all those albums, basically. While we were
Diver Down,
Diver Down was Roth.
Oh shit, yeah, it was.
Yeah, that was their second to last album with Roth. Yeah.
Yeah.
So here, I'll just scroll down the discography.
Yeah, scroll down.
Because 5150 was their first one. then OU 812, Unlawful Carnal Knowledge, then Balance. Balance, their fourth album with Hagar was their last one.
Yeah. And I wasn't into Balance.
No,
Like,
it had one good song on it that I remember. Good, I say in quotes. It was decent. Doing this live. Oh, Can't Stop Loving You. That was
that was all right.
yeah.
And honestly, they had a didn't they do a lot? I have a memory of having a like a compact disc set. It was a multi-disc, like kind of opens like a book, and it had this on.
Yeah.
Had like 4 discs in it or whatever. And that's kind of the exposure I had to other Sammy Hagar stuff besides fuck. That it was that.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, that you're like you said, we were in high school when For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge came out.
Yeah.
They did a huge tour with that album release.
Yeah, and I think they even did a live album based off of that tour.
They probably
Because
did.
I remember one of my friends having like a double live album of theirs with Sammy Hagar.
Yeah.
Because we thought it was interesting because he sang a bunch of the early Van Halen stuff.
Right.
Like, so he sang a bunch of the David Lee Roth songs in this live album.
Yeah, which never it's different energy level.
Yeah.
Just it never really got there. But because that was high school and like I remember kids that got to go to the fucking concerts, they're wearing their For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge t-shirts in fucking school thinking they're like, "Oh, look, I'm wearing fucking on my chest." That was the big thing. And just for me, I remember it might as well have been a different band. I mean, aside from Eddie and aside from Alex, like it was obvious it was Eddie Van Halen, right? Even if it was a little bit slower, but played into some of the faster stuff and got into like just craziness with what was happening on a guitar. You knew it was Eddie Van Halen, but it's such polar opposite of what was going on with David Lee Roth.
Yeah, and it's funny. David Lee Roth was on Joe Rogan about a year ago. And
Really?
yeah,
God.
was, oh my God, the guy's fucking out of his goddamn mind. But there was a point where they were comparing, his version of Van Halen to Sammy Hagar's. And David Lee Roth made a really interesting point. He's like, what are their songs about? Why Can't This Be Love?
Right.
How Do I Know When It's Love? And then David Lee Roth's like, what were my songs about? Ain't talking about love. So that's already like you can differentiate the bands because a lot of ballads, a lot of like love ballads in the Hagar days.
There is.
Which I didn't realize how many there were until I started going back and re-listening to a lot of these.
There was Billy Joel released an album around the same time, and it got a lot of play. Like I know it had a couple of videos on MTV, like the there was one song.
That wasn't the one that
In
was
the middle of the night.
Oh, okay. Was that the one that had
walking
"We
the
Didn't Start the Fire" or was that?
Oh, maybe. I don't.
I feel like that might have been right.
Musicology is not my thing, but I just remember at the same time that's kind of what the sound was. Like that was the popular sound.
Yeah.
Like because when Billy Joel put an album out like that, and then you had Van Halen. Most of the Sammy Hagar stuff was like that, and there was a couple other ones. They were kind of the only thing that really set them apart. Billy Joel obviously it was the piano.
Yeah.
Right, the piano in his songs. It was still, even though melodically it was a lot of the same stuff, talking about the same things. Like Billy Joel with the piano, Eddie Van Halen with the fucking guitar work going on these albums. That was like the things that jumped out at you, made it memorable.
Which I'm pretty sure right now was on
River
Fuck,
Dreams.
right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, River of Dreams is the Billy Joel.
Right.
Yeah. So getting back to Van Halen, because right now I have a real love-hate relationship with that song.
Okay.
Only
Some broad that fucking dump you. at the
No,
song?
it was just so fucking overplayed. This is one of the problems
It was.
of MTV being your vehicle for listening to music and being exposed to new music is sometimes there would be something that would be just so catchy or something that the producers there would love. They would play it into the fucking ground. But it wasn't just MTV's fault because it was like the fucking theme for a goddamn Pepsi commercial.
Yeah.
Remember Crystal Pepsi? Van Halen's Right Now was the fucking theme for Crystal Pepsi when it
Crystal
debuted
Pepsi.
at the fucking Super Bowl that year. What was it, like 91 or 92?
I think it was 92.
You remember Crystal Pepsi though, right?
Yeah. Ugh, God.
They did a re-release of that, a very limited re-release a couple years ago, and I missed it. I didn't get to have any.
Oh,
but
you didn't want to have it fucking when it first came out.
yeah, but I mean, right now as a song, and I guess this is kind of jumping the gun a little bit on our top lists. it would be in my top list if it hadn't been so fucking overplayed back in the day. Because you listen to it, I'm listening to it now. Great song, and if you remember the music video, a lot of messages, a lot of
Yeah, there's a lot of social activism like embedded into it, just with the flashes of what was going, like the
oh yeah,
current
yeah,
stuff.
because it was just a bunch of
Yeah.
different shit coming out at you all at the same time. But yeah, so but that was on Carnal Knowledge from what I remember. I'm
Yeah, it was side 2.
side 2. Would you have the cassette?
No, well, I'm looking. I brought it up on the Wikipedia and look at the track listing, and yeah. But and that's the thing. Side 2, like if you break down these albums, like these were fucking albums.
Yeah.
You had fucking CDs only had a certain amount that you could have on them before you had to have a second CD, which obviously had costs associated with it. So when the albums came out that couldn't fit on one CD, they were like, "Fuck, I got a 2 CD set was so much more expensive." Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, but
Scott, hold that thought.
yeah.
Scott, hold that thought with the one song from the Hagar era makes your top 5. Because if it's one of the songs that we're going to say, I want you to bring it up.
Okay.
But yeah, the fucking idea of like side 1 and side 2. Looking at some of these early albums, like 1984, whatever, 8-track. They were out on 8-track. Which, I mean, even for us, 8-track is like
It was ancient. Yeah.
Like if you were sitting in a car, like we had a 68 Pontiac Catalina that had a fucking AM/FM stereo and an 8-track player.
Right.
That was,
And they were always broken.
Oh,
Like,
always.
Every 8-track player didn't work.
Tunk, tunk. You're like pushing the fucking buttons and it's like skipping around. It just was not the best, not the most solid technology ever.
Yeah.
But fascinating way for fucking magnetic tape to be played, to be able to skip songs
Yeah.
because you couldn't do it otherwise. Unless you had a record and you were picking it up and putting it down 1, 2, 3, 4, counting how many songs it is, and it's like, okay, I want to listen to this song.
Yep.
We are so spoiled these days.
Oh, I know. So I guess it goes without saying that your preference between the lead singers would have been David Lee Roth. Is that
Yes.
Is that what you're putting down here?
Well, I if you look at if we're doing my top 10 songs, the David Lee Roth songs far outpace the Sammy Hagar songs. And honestly, the Sammy Hagar songs that I like are off of For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge.
Okay. So how many Gary Sharon songs are?
Who is that?
So we have to talk about it.
Wait, what was I used to be able to sing like him. I can't.
Well, the only song of his that I knew before he joined the group was "More Than Words."
It's like, where's your guitar? Well,
yeah. Oh, let me paint my fucking fingernails black.
Right.
And
It's I
I
never understood that.
Oh, I hated that song. Fucking hated it.
Oh, it's not even hating the song. It's like,
Or
why this guy? Why bring him on?
I guess, they were doing auditions and they were bringing in singers and something clicked when he was doing his audition and they started jamming right away. I guess at the time, in the moment, it seemed right. But, you talk about constantly evolving, constantly changing, which I'm perfectly fine with that when it comes to music, because if you just stick to the same formula forever, it's not going to go well.
Right. You're going to stagnate, and it's
But-
starting to start sucking.
At the same time, you're going to bring the fucking ex-lead singer of Extreme, who had one fucking hit,
Yeah.
into your band, who does not fit the look, does not fit the sound.
Oh, and you know what? If they did original music that sounded fucking phenomenal, and they're like, okay, we're going to springboard off of this.
Sure.
Say what you will about when they brought Sammy Hagar on, they had a wildly successful run with
Right.
Sammy Hagar.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like a flop. Then you bring this guy on, and I can't imagine touring with somebody whose sound is so much different than either of the two people before. How do you
Right.
play your fucking hits?
And that's the thing, because when you've got this new singer, you're going to be playing an hour of David Lee Roth songs, an hour of Sammy Hagar songs, and then like 30 minutes of your new
Yeah,
tracks.
maybe.
Yeah.
You can't. All of these bands, at some point, no matter what, go watch Foo Fighters live, and when they have new stuff out, like cool, but they're gonna sprinkle their fucking hits in there because that's why we're there.
Yeah.
we like this new stuff, but I can listen to new stuff on the fucking CD. I'm here in concert because I want to hear you play the shit that I like.
Yeah.
I want to hear you play Monkey Wrench. I want to hear you, play these songs. And I would imagine it's got to be the same thing for them. Whereas, great, I get a fucking 15-minute, guitar solo out of Eddie. Awesome.
Yeah.
And I get Alex, do a fucking 10-minute drum solo. And then I got this fucking clown that trying to sing Hot for Teacher. It doesn't, I'm not going to pay to go see that.
No. And I mean, unless this new album was a slam fucking dunk right out the gate, which it was not, the album crashed and burned very fast.
Yeah.
It was never going to work. So, wow. And right before he joined the group, they had a very brief reunion with David Lee Roth. I was so excited when this happened because they did that Best of Both Worlds greatest hits. They recorded 2 new songs with David Lee Roth, which I thought were pretty decent. And it was like, oh shit, the band's back together, right? Lasted a night. Because if you go back and you watch any of the interviews of what happened at that Video Music Awards ceremony where they all 4 came out on stage, apparently it was right after that. They had a big fucking falling out backstage and it was over before it ever started. So, and again, it's the fucking egos. This one sounds like it was more all on Roth. Like he got upset with Eddie Van Halen because they weren't, gonna immediately go out on tour. And
and you imagine David Lee Roth comes in there and is like, hey, look, everyone loves us all together. Like, you wouldn't, like, without me right now, nobody would be talking about you because you just had Gary fucking Sharon. As
right. But on the same hand, David Lee Roth was in the same boat.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he was sinking as a fucking solo artist. But when they came together, there was a ton of excitement. These two entities apart, nobody gave a shit. So yeah, it was interesting, but again, the egos, they couldn't keep them in check.
And see, to me, that David Lee Roth went into that thinking that, hey, they need me more than I need them.
Right.
And in fact, Van Halen had already been successful without David Lee Roth.
Yeah.
So they looked at that and went like, yeah, you know what? No.
Yeah, we're not putting up with this shit again.
Yeah, just because we had this fucking ass clown for a lead singer for half a minute, like, that doesn't mean we're not going to do something good. Without you, like, you aren't going to do anything good anywhere.
Yeah,
unless you're with us. So you can either be with us or go fuck yourself. And chose option B.
Yeah, and they did the same thing with Sammy Hagar in like 2004, something like that, 2004, 2005. They briefly reunited with him, recorded like 3 new tracks for another compilation album. Did one tour that didn't last very long, and then again,
I remember that
split.
tour being shortened because I was actually like, it was one of my opportunities to see them.
Yeah,
and at the tour, it broke apart before it really. I feel like they only did like 4 or 5 shows,
probably,
and it fucking fell apart.
Yeah,
I think I was supposed to see him at the Tweeter Center or whatever the fuck they're calling it in Camden. Pretty sure.
I don't know.
And it fucking canceled. You weren't around.
No. But
I keep trying to fucking put my mouse up there. You see me like it's like
you're like trying to scroll on the screen that's not actually hooked.
Hitting the glass. Sidebar: did you hear about all the fucking birds that died in Philly?
No.
Like a few days ago?
No.
So we got all these glass skyscrapers, right? And apparently this one skyscraper, the light on the inside, the birds were like flying towards it thinking that they could get towards this light.
Oh no.
4,000 dead birds like laying around in the street from all these birds just
Holy
fucking smacking into the fucking skyscrapers.
Whoops.
2020, folks. Like, can you imagine going to work like, I'm going to work. I got my mask on. I just got off the fucking train. It was half empty. And oh, fuck, there's dead birds everywhere. Oh, my God.
God. Are you even surprised at this point?
No. What could... I don't even want to say it out loud.
Yeah, I know, right?
Shit. Fucking knocking on wood.
So also in the early 2000s, I think this was before they reunited with Hagar, but after they shit-canned Gary Sharon, David Lee Roth and Sammy Hagar did a fucking world tour together.
Oh,
do you remember that?
I don't.
Yeah, but it was, their, like, I guess, anti-Van Halen tour. They did a co-headlining tour, and I guess it was pretty successful, but those two didn't get along. Guys who were never actually in Van Halen together also didn't get along.
Dude,
so
again, polar opposite personalities too.
Yeah.
Like, fucking David Lee Roth probably didn't have 2 nickels to rub together until he started doing that tour. Meanwhile, Sammy Hagar had a really successful fucking brand that he has been selling and doing well with, and he's like, oh, dude, you're a fucking maniac. I don't need your shit.
But at the same time, he's just like, yeah, man, it's just another chance to play music, whatever, dude.
Yeah.
So yeah, that dichotomy in those two personalities is it's fucking great. And then finally, 2008 timeframe, they reunited with David Lee Roth again and started touring, and it was pretty successful. Successful for damn near a decade. They toured off and on. They made a whole new album together, which this one came out in 2012, I want to say. I actually went back and listened to it today. This is the first time I'd ever listened to this new album that they recorded.
Right.
It was all right.
Yeah, different kind of truth.
Yeah.
That's the name of the album.
And it was not the worst thing I've ever listened to.
It's pretty bad. I'm not. Look, musically, it just there wasn't a single thing on there that really like grabbed my attention. And thankfully, in 2012, we didn't have to go out and buy CDs.
Yeah.
To get an album, you could go and listen to bits and pieces of it.
Sure.
Go into iTunes and fucking play the first 30 45 seconds of the song and be like, this is fucking hot garbage.
Or even nowadays, where I re-upped my Apple Music subscription. So the day Eddie died, within minutes of him dying, I went in, searched Van Halen, all albums, add to my library.
Yeah.
And I just immediately added all of the Van Halen albums to my
so
fucking phone.
We have I don't have Apple Music subscription anymore, but I have all of the MP3s for all the previous albums.
Yeah.
But we use Spotify because part of my phone contract comes with you get free premium Spotify.
Sure.
So you do the same thing, like boop, 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 select all the fucking songs and it'll play offline and do the whole bit, and it's amazing to have.
Yeah.
Like the quality is good because they did didn't they do a release that was like remastered?
They've done a couple of remasters of some of their early stuff on there.
The 1984 remastered stuff is actually really good.
I think that Van Halen 1 has a remastered version out there too.
Because I know going back and listening to some of the stuff, like you said, same deal. I went into my iTunes library of all things and went in there and looked at some of Van Halen stuff and was playing it. And I'm like, this sounds not very good.
Yeah. It was nothing, like you said, nothing that really reached out and grabbed me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe if I can listen to it again, maybe there's some stuff I can pick up on. But first listen through, it's like,
Not when there's so many great fucking songs.
Right.
When there's so many great songs from an artist, like I don't need you to do new stuff.
True. And then, the band's different too. Like we talked about, Michael Anthony left. They added Eddie's son, Wolfgang,
who was very talented.
Yeah, as the bass player, but he has to be named after Mozart. Wolfgang, that has to be like where that name came from, which just shows like Eddie's love for music, and the fact that he's training piano and guitar and everything else. God knows what else he was trained in musically.
He's probably the kind of guy who could pick up anything. He's like the guy that does the fucking Mandalorian soundtrack, right? Who could pick up a fucking sousaphone and play it fucking perfectly.
Well, and you know what? I didn't realize this, but Kristen is like that. So she played flute and clarinet.
Right.
But I guess she was like heavily instructed to like recognize notes just by hearing them and then being able to repeat those back. So I think one of our kids was talking a few days ago about like one of the Super Mario themes, like the Underworld theme, the do 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 do, and she's like, she kind of looks up for a second, like I can see her thinking, and then she just walks up to my piano and just goes do 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 and just starts playing. I'm like, how the fuck did you do that?
Like an eidetic memory.
Yeah. I'm like, what the fuck? She's like, yeah, I've always been able to do that. I'm like, God damn. So, yeah. But the cool thing about all of this was the fact that they were back together with Roth pretty much through the end. And I'm pretty sure everybody kind of knew this was coming going back to last December because Dave had an interview that got a lot of publicity about how Van Halen's pretty much over. Eddie's dealing with his stuff. He didn't get into specifics, but knowing what we know now, it was foreshadowing for the difficulties he was having with his cancer treatments and everything.
Yeah, because I forget what was it 2008? Like where he had initially the throat cancer, like where it had the part of his tongue.
I think the tongue probably came out in around 2014, 2015, but he's been dealing with some form of cancer for like over a decade at this point.
And and one of the articles I was reading, we were talking about like he used metal picks and having metal picks in his mouth and all this other stuff.
I don't buy that for a second. Dude smoked like a chimney. Every time you saw him, he was smoking. So you can't fucking tell me that
middle of fucking solos, like smoking was part of the show.
Yeah,
honestly, but obviously, but it is interesting because you wonder, along with just some of this. I don't know. It seems to me like okay, you put weird shit in your mouth, bad stuff happens. Like you can get
yeah. Facts.
I know. Anyway, you can get mouth cancer from fucking sunflower seeds.
Oh shit.
Yeah, like because you have all the salt. Like if you keep it in your lip and everything, people can get.
That's how people get fucking mouth cancer from like chewing tobacco and shit too, right? Like just holding it against your gums and
it creates all kinds of problems. So it wouldn't surprise me if, along with all the other shit, like putting a bunch of fucking strange metal shit in your mouth isn't a good idea either.
Yeah.
Putting anything strange in your mouth, not a good idea.
Yeah.
Jason can attest to that.
Yes. Living proof. What? Do you want to roll into our top 5 list, or do you have anything else to talk about with the band? I know this was a real quick and dirty, like history of the band, along with our personal thoughts.
We're gonna have a lot to say about each probably song. On this list. So yeah, let's get into this. Because I know between the two of us, we have a lot of others deserving mention as well.
Oh yeah. I've got a pretty substantial list, but we're doing a top 5.
But real quick, there's. Whatever the coupling that's happening here between Jaguar Bunny and Lunar Girl, like, please. There
might be children in the chat, people.
Sometimes, I don't even say, like, these are real people. It's different, like, when we're busting on each other and making up strange fucking shit for sex points, but, like, to have it happening inside the fucking, inside the chat, it makes it a little too real.
I know, right? But it's fun, and this is exclusive. If you are a YouTube subscriber, you can go in and you can watch us live as we record and see the debauchery going on in the fucking chat.
Yes, indeed.
So, all right. Moving into our top 5 list, we're going to do this the same way we've always done our list. I'll start, then you go, and then you go again, and then me, and back and forth. So, the final one will be your number 1 if we do it in this order. So, my number 5, I went back and forth on this one.
Okay.
I almost put one of the songs from The Best of Both Worlds when they recorded some new tracks with David Lee Roth, the Can't Get This Stuff No More. Really catchy tune. I really enjoy it. Almost made the cut, but not quite. Because the other song that I have in my top 5 is from a Hagar song, and it's Top of the World. Okay. I've always loved that song. I don't know why. Very, very catchy. Just standing on top of the world. It's very We Are the Champions like, and I think I was playing football at the time too, and me and my buddies were like always singing it as we were playing football, and
it is a good song.
Yeah.
It is a good song. It's probably one of the better ones. Energy wise, I think it's one of the higher energy songs that Hagar too. So that's a good number 5. I'm surprised that you would even think about having something from The Best of Both Worlds is that close to your top 5, even as part of the conversation.
Only because I listened to it a lot. Because I bought that CD when it first came out, The Best of Both Worlds, because I had the original album, and like we had said at the beginning, not many of my albums survived all the way to the end.
Yeah.
Like all of my cassettes, got shit canned.
Yeah.
So, it was only what I had left on CD is what survived. So, it was a good way to get a lot of these songs. And it was new material with David Lee Roth. It was.
No, I feel you. It's not a judgment thing. It's just was surprised.
Yeah. It's just the amount of exposure that I had to the songs and the amount of times that I listened to it. To me, it was catchy.
So just before we do my number 5.
Mm-hmm.
Scott Rasmussen is playing along.
Okay, so we're
gonna chat from the Use and Abuse podcast, and his number 5 is Pound Cake.
Okay,
which I'm sure we're going to talk about at some
point.
Yeah,
we'll put a pin in that.
Yeah, we'll put a pin in that one. My number 5 is Jump.
Okay.
Listen, if you're out there listening and you're like, holy shit, Jump should be one of the top in there. Like this is remember these lists. We talked about it offline. I don't think we talked about it on for the show, but I did this list when the gravity of Eddie Van Halen passing away, and we talked about doing this for the podcast. It was like within a few hours.
Yeah.
And I sat down and I did a fucking list. I did a top 10 list for me. And what I was feeling in the moment is why the list came out the way it did.
Sure.
And yeah, there's 4 other songs that I think to me are
And I think that's reasonable.
Jump.
I would never be like, oh my god, I can't believe Jump wasn't your number 2 or 1.
I could see people out there being like that because it was one of their greatest songs that they did.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jump is my number 5.
Okay. And remember how I told you I cheated a little bit?
Yeah.
Making this list? We're going to come around back to that when we get to that point. So you're number 4.
My number 4 is Pound Cake. Scott Rasmussen's number 5. Pound Cake. Big Sweet talked about it. The drill.
Yeah.
The fucking drill. Like the song is like, I don't know, it's just crazy.
And it's another high energy Hagar song.
Yeah.
So
this is the last Sammy Hagar. This is the only Sammy Hagar in my top 5.
Okay.
And it was because of what was going on with the drill and the energy level and everything else. It's like I forget that it's even Sammy Hagar singing this song.
Yeah.
Honestly, because of dun, dun, yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a great arrangement, and I'm gonna be honest, it's only an honorable mention for me.
Okay.
So it's not gonna come up on my list, but I really do like the song. I was watching the music video for it earlier this morning.
Have you wanted to hit your fucking guitar with a drill yet? Just to see what it would sound like?
I don't think it would really translate well to an acoustic guitar. Maybe if I ever get an electric.
It would sound like something.
It would sound like something. That is a fact.
Sound expensive is what it would sound like.
But I mean, that's Eddie just trying new shit, like what can I do to make a new and different sound? And that just goes to the artist that was Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah.
And willing to try crazy shit like that.
Yeah, and just the sounds that he would be able to make out of that fucking guitar it's just amazing.
Yep.
Just absolutely amazing.
So going to my number 4, this is going to be my last Sammy Hagar song. So we talked about how there were a lot of ballads on there, right?
Right.
I actually enjoy most of them. Why Can't This Be Love?
You look like a ballad guy.
Whatever, fuck you. So I had to pick one.
Why is that a bad thing?
The way you said it, very condescending. Like I don't like your tone, but I had to pick one. So I actually went with "Can't Stop Loving You" from Balance. So I actually really enjoy that song. I think it just came out at a weird time in my life where I was part of I think Balance came out at the end of '95 or beginning of '96, and I just had a breakup. So it was sort of again what I was going through at the time.
95, yep. For Balance.
Yeah, okay, which that lines up, especially if it was the end of '95.
January is when it came out.
Fuck. Okay. Well, is that when the album came out?
That's when the album came out.
So the single might have been later. Anyway, regardless, important song for me at the time. I like the Hagar ballads. They're not the greatest. They're not all top 5 material, but I had to pick one, and I picked "Can't Stop Loving You" for my number 4.
Look, I just sitting here after you said it, like I can sing most of that song.
Yeah.
Because I know the words. Like I heard it enough. It's a good track.
Yep. All right, moving on to my number 3.
But fuck Sammy Hagar. I mean, let's talk about the real shit here.
All right, so my number 3 is where I cheated.
Okay.
So I put my number 3 as both Jump and Panama, because to me, they're practically this interconnected. They're one and the same song.
Okay.
In my opinion, because obviously they fall sequentially on the fucking album. The videos were almost identical. The sound is very similar. I couldn't put one over the other. I love them both so much. Mm-hmm. Great songs. So I put Jump/Panama as my number 3.
Okay. I can appreciate that. Jump is my number 5. My number 6, if we were doing a top 10, was going to be Panama.
Okay.
So I agree with you. Everything you said.
Yep. So I don't really know what else to say. You can't listen to those 2 songs and not just be fucking.
just
have some sort of a reaction.
your energy level has to go up.
Yeah.
It just has to.
And I think, did you ever watch the movie Superbad when it came out back in '08?
Yeah.
There was a scene towards the end of that where Panama came on, where they were like driving the cop car through the fucking parking lot and they were doing like fucking donuts, and it was Panama. They were blasting Panama, and it was so perfect for that fucking scene. I'm like, love it.
So, catch you up. Scott Rasmussen's playing along. Like I said, his number 4 was "Hot for Teacher."
Okay.
The '84 album. And then I'm up to my number 3, right?
Yes.
Scott's number 3 is "Everybody Wants Some" from the Women and Children First album.
Okay.
So we'll put a pin in that. My number 3 was "Hot for Teacher."
Okay.
Now, this, like my number 1, full disclosure, my number 1 never been, my number 1 for Van Halen has been my number 1 for a long time. And as good as these other songs are, and as much as I fucking enjoy listening to these songs, and I will listen to them over and over again, my number 1 is my number 1.
Okay.
So, but "Hot for Teacher" was right there. Like, it has so many elements. We talked about the music video.
And we were elementary school kids when this came out, too.
Like, I heard you missed us, we're back.
I brought my pencil. Give me something to write on, man.
Like, all the skit that's kind of going on within the songs, and then fucking like, and the transitions between them and everything else, like, ooh, I get goosebumps.
And then especially when you're watching the video and you see that fucking hot teacher like getting on the stripper pole and shit.
It was probably one of those times where I can honestly say where the music video, like, you can watch the music video and be as excited about the video as you are the music that's in it, like, and everything's kind of integrated, because it's like a little skit. It's like this whole thing. And David, that skit doesn't work with fucking Sammy Hagar.
No,
that skit doesn't work with fucking George Clooney or whatever the fuck his name is.
Jerry Sharon.
But none of that shit works unless it's fucking David Lee Roth. You have to have this fucking just insane person, you know, to play the main character in this skit. And it's all those elements come together. I love that fucking song. I will play that song 50 times in a row and still get just as excited for it. And it's one of their greatest songs. I mean, of all time. I mean, for me.
Yep. So that was your number 3.
That was my number 3.
So your number 2.
So with "Hot for Teacher" being my number 2, or number 3 rather, my number 2 is where I combined, where I have "Eruption" and "You Really Got Me."
Okay, so we talked about this offline. I'm like, do we count "Eruption" as a separate song? And you're like, no, I count them both together. I'm like, perfect.
Yes.
Because my number 2 is the exact same thing.
Yes.
"Eruption" / "You Really Got Me."
It's, "Eruption" by itself. What's funny is "Eruption" by itself is fucking amazing. But if you're listening to it and you have it like on shuffle and it doesn't play "You Really Got Me" afterwards, it's like
it doesn't work.
It doesn't sound right.
Yeah,
you have to lead one into the other, because I was doing that on my Spotify playlist. I'm like, you know, super interruption. Like,
as it's winding down and you're ready. You're ready for and you're waiting for it. And if it doesn't come, it's
yeah, well, that's part of the problem.
You're left with blue balls.
It's like "Eruption." It's a massive, like, erection-inducing, fucking just ready to explode type moment, and you go into this.
It's fucking perfect.
To me, it's this. Up until I got to a point where, like, I had CD players, or I had it in Apple where it would shuffle the two apart, I would never listen. I would have never listened to the two and not thought it was the same song.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, just because of the way it flows in that album.
Yeah, and I watched, I think Big Swede actually had posted a video. And real quick, Big Swede did we talked about this offline, but Big Swede did a Eddie Van Halen kind of tribute thing.
Yep.
Jason and I deliberately didn't watch that because we were doing this show, and honestly, I didn't want to, like, get involved in a conversation on that might affect kind of my list. You know,
yeah, that would affect this episode.
Yeah, I wanted my list to be fucking clean. So that's, hey, Scott Rasmussen's number 2 is also "Eruption."
Nice. I'm really curious what your number 1 is now. I'm wondering if we have the same number 1. This is going to be interesting.
if your number one's the same as mine, that's going to be pretty fucking epic.
Yeah. So, yeah, and just to go back really quick to Big Swede, was that on Big Swede's Excellent Adventure?
It was.
Okay, so search Big Swede's Excellent Adventure on YouTube and go check that out. And I'm going to go check it out after this.
Yeah, after this.
But yeah, so same thing, Eruption. This was back when I had this renaissance for their original album, right? Mm-hmm. In high school, I'm really into fucking hard rock and heavy metal. Go back and I listen to this first album. And, you know, you hear Eruption and you're like, fuck, that was incredible. And then it rolls right into You Really Got Me. And it's like, damn. And that's not even an original song. That's a cover of the Kinks.
Yeah.
Did the original version of that song.
It doesn't sound anything like that.
Which, you know where I probably heard that song for the first time? The Van Halen version of You Really Got Me. Do you remember the movie Night Shift? With Henry Winkler and Michael Keaton.
We've talked about this movie.
Early 80s. I think I have the DVD down there, actually.
Yeah, we've talked about this movie. I don't remember seeing it.
It was in syndication. Like every fucking weekend they'd be playing it. But anyway, there's a scene in there where they're having a party in a morgue and they're playing that song in the background. So that's probably the first time I ever heard that song.
That's funny.
So, number one, I guess we're going to do mine since you're going last, but I'm really curious if our number ones are the same. And my number one is the first song, Running with the Devil, from the first album.
Right.
So, I mean, it's always been my favorite since I went back and listened to that album. Mm-hmm. Great fucking gritty song, but it has even more relevance to me now because, as we've talked about since you and I both got sick with COVID, and I've been doing a lot of things differently in my life. And what is the first fucking line from the first song on the first Van Halen album? What is that first line?
It's like, I live my life like there's no tomorrow.
Exactly. And that's exactly how I'm living right now.
Yeah.
I'm living like there's no fucking tomorrow. Because as we've realized here in 2020, tomorrow is not fucking guaranteed.
Yeah.
So this has kind of become my mantra for this year. And then just going back and re-listening, I'm like, there's no way this could not be my number one.
Right.
So
it is a great song.
Yeah.
It's timeless. There's probably the few times where the David Lee Roth scream in there, like just everything just kind of like hits. Like if you're looking at it and watching the song, like even the scream like hits appropriately in the beat for it. Scott Rasmussen's number one.
Oh, also Running with the Devil.
Also Running with the Devil.
Damn, me and Scott have damn near identical lists.
Yeah. Running with the Devil did not even make my top 10.
No shit.
Yeah.
Okay, well then I'm really curious. What is your number one?
My number one. So we're gonna. Oh fuck! I keep wanting to scroll on that goddamn thing. So Scott Rasmussen talked about an album called "Women and Children First."
Yep.
Okay.
Very underrated.
Yes.
I didn't really have a whole lot of exposure to it.
Yeah, it was. I had it on a cassette, and it's one of those things where it serendipitously showed up in my car.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember exactly how I got it. But it was just a cassette. It was like, and you see the cover of Women and Children First. It's like green, and they're sitting around, and you see them playing guitar and everything else. But I remember this cassette being in the car. I'm like, wow, this is all right. Let's put this in.
Yeah.
And musically, it's not Running with the Devil. It's not Eruption.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that. It's such a different sound. And I think Scott Rasmussen. I wanted to find it. The song he was talking about on there. Scott, mention it again from from Women and Children First. And there's a couple of songs that were like number ones off of that album. Did you bring it up?
Yeah, that's the track list up there.
So you have people are gonna recognize "In the Cradle Will Rock," "And the Cradle Will Rock."
Great song,
right? Everybody Wants Some. People know that song. It's like for whatever sort of stupid reason, it's like most of the song. Could This Be Magic? Is my number one.
Wow.
Van Halen song. Oh, goosebumps. Just it has whatever it is. It is it's one of those songs that when you put it on, like it immediately puts me into a different place.
Yeah.
Like not like, oh, I'm thinking about something good thing that happened or anything else. Like this, it's a real, like, I don't know if you're familiar with the song, but it like starts off and it's acoustic. It's an acoustic song, and it starts out with the volumes real low, and it kind of fades in, and Eddie's playing guitar, playing acoustic guitar. And then David Lee Roth goes 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, dun, dun, dun. And it just, I fucking love it.
Wow.
I love that fucking song. I can't even describe it. Like, even just sitting here, like the amount of just emotion that I have thinking about that song, I couldn't tell you why. There's no like, I got a hand job to this fucking song moment. Like, nothing like that. It was a random cassette that showed up in my fucking Pontiac Grand Prix at the time, and I put it in there, to this song. Like, it was already, it wasn't the beginning, it wasn't a brand new cassette, just boom, I put it in there. And you think, turn up the radio, like, is it fucking playing or not? And you hear him kind of come into it, and then I love the guitar work in it. I just love the song. I love the sing. It's fucking great. It's just great.
I'm gonna have to go back and re-listen to it because I mean I know what you're talking about. I remember the building acoustic guitar and everything. I don't, and then the Roth countdown, but I don't remember much about it. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and take another listen. So, but I can appreciate an obscure song.
Sail away with someone's daughter. Better save the women and children first. Like, then it goes into an Eddie guitar solo.
Yeah.
On acoustic guitar solo. And it's fucking great.
Huh.
It's great. Honestly, we should have. I'd love to. We'll play it at some point. Maybe when we go offline, we'll play it.
Yeah, because we don't want to get hit with like copyright strikes and shit.
Right, whatever. But it is. I'm telling you this right now. There's the fact that this Scott Rasmussen had a Women and Children First song in his top 5 is pretty remarkable because most people don't know anything about this album.
No, I think "And the Cradle Will Rock" is the only song that people probably know from that.
Right. And that's very similar to most of their other stuff, the stuff that's on 1984.
Yeah.
It's like Romeo's Delight, this song, not a lot of people know this song. And it's fucking great.
Yeah, that's
great.
awesome.
I love it. It's off of an obscure album from one of the best rock bands ever to exist, and it's that little piece. I feel like it's just mine. I feel like it's one of those things that's just for me.
That's great.
Because when I listen to it, it's just like that. Oh my god.
Awesome. Oh, I do want to mention though, Dragon Buddy also said "Running with the Devil" is his number one. Right. So we do have a pretty good consensus.
And it's like I said, it doesn't even make my fucking Others Deserving Mention, but it doesn't mean it's not a great song. It just didn't make that top 10.
No, I just thought I'd throw that out there though.
Word.
So, talking about honorable mentions,
right?
I mean, we can just throw a bunch out there. I've got "Dreams." I actually like, that's another like ballady Sammy Hagar song.
Yeah. Eddie on the synthesizer.
Yeah. I really enjoyed that one. We already talked about "Pound Cake." Love the original sound of that one. "Right Now," so overplayed. Great song if it wasn't fucking everywhere back then. It's just really hard to kind of like take a step away from that.
Right Now was like my number 7. It was kind of the same reasons. Like it wasn't that, for me, it wasn't that it was overplayed. It was just the Sammy Hagar stuff just didn't hit the same with me. Especially listening to it now and thinking about it now. But Right Now and the song you just mentioned, your first other mention. Fuck.
Dreams,
yeah. That album is one of those where almost everything on it was good.
Oh yeah,
and memorable, and we could sit there and probably sing along to all of it.
Yeah, it was huge, you know. And my friends were much bigger Sammy Hagar fans than I was when it came to Van Halen. I was still like a Roth purist up to that point, but I could appreciate the Hagar stuff.
You as a Roth purist, arguing about
it took years. It took years for me to finally accept Sammy Hagar. Right about the time they kicked him out. So, Hot for Teachers on here, obviously. Like, it's such a great fucking song. And then, like I said, pretty much everything from Van Halen 1. You've got shit like Jamie's Crying, Ain't Talking About Love.
Jamie's crying.
Every fucking song on that album was just phenomenal. But yeah, those were some other ones that really stuck out.
I think for me, so if just based on how I have it ranked here in front of me, we're talking about how my number 6 would have been Panama. Right now would have been my number 7. And The Cradle Will Rock is my number 8.
Okay.
Pretty Woman is my number 9. And again, it's a cover.
Yeah.
But I just really like how they did it.
It's not bad. It's, I don't know, not my favorite song in general.
It makes me wonder, because I was just it started in my head, and it makes me wonder if it's like there's this choppy thing that Eddie does on the guitar that it makes me wonder if it's like that's what draws me into that particular sound. And that's why I like Pretty Woman and rank some of the other stuff a little bit higher, because there's like a particular, like he had a particular thing that I like to hear him do.
Oh yeah,
in the songs. And my number 10 was Why Can't This Be Love?
Okay. Yeah, another great Hagar ballad.
Yeah.
But it's just so funny too, because that, like we talked about, that difference in the style of the two.
It's like two almost completely different bands, honestly, if you think about it. I'm still thinking about my song.
I'm gonna have to go back and listen to that, because it's
not a very long song either.
Yeah.
It's just, the fact is, every time I listen to it, I'm like, God, I wish there was more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what you were gonna say.
I wish it was longer.
Yeah. And then I was gonna come back with, that's what she said. I was waiting for it.
Right.
I saw the setup coming.
That's why I pulled back. Oh shit! Hit the brakes. That's why I have my TIE Fighter set up to fucking, as soon as I cut the engines, it stops. Like, because otherwise you'd like have this like physics thing that it keeps
momentum.
Yeah. Momentum, thank you. Have momentum that will ultimately fucking throw you into some wreckage and you will explode.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because it's a thing. So
okay.
I have to modify my tie anyway.
So, any other songs you want to talk about, or are we good?
This would be a great opportunity. Copyright stuff, especially with the podcast. Like, I wouldn't be as worried about it with the YouTube, but
well, the YouTube is the worst offender. Like, they have those fucking algorithms that'll search for any copyrighted material. You'll immediately get strikes. It's fucking bullshit.
Yeah, apparently, like, Big Sweet gets copyright claims on every episode he does.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you get too many, you get your fucking channel shut down. Oh, yeah. So yeah.
But yeah, just sit here and just listen to the music and like pull certain things apart, or like.
Oh, that'd be great if we could.
Yeah, it's not a good idea.
Yeah.
Us sitting here just quietly listening to music is not really make much of a show. As entertaining as it would be for us.
Right. But yeah, I mean, and for the most part, I was going to bring this up with the death of Eddie Van Halen. I mean, the band is there. There is no Alex and Wolfgang, picking up a new guitarist and another singer and continuing on with the name Van Halen. I can't imagine that happening.
No, I would agree.
Like, the band died with Eddie.
I think, Wolfgang, even, like, if you follow him on Instagram or anything else, like, obviously they're devastated and, all the emotions that come with it, with somebody passing away. But at the same time, I get the impression, because I followed him on social media, because Eddie Van Halen was never on social media. Mm-hmm. But I followed his kid, and it seemed like he respected the music.
Yeah.
Because his father did.
Right, and you can tell Eddie loved music so much, he was going to teach his son to respect music as well. Like,
he couldn't help it.
Yeah, so, and, I mean, I could certainly see Wolfgang, going off doing his own thing, starting another band, but Van Halen as a band, I think, is over at this point. We have nothing but our memories, and that's probably for the best.
Yeah.
Because even this last decade of them touring with David Lee Roth, I'm sure it was pretty cool to go see a concert, but at the same time, everybody's getting older, and
you're seeing like Eddie Van Halen looking more like Lars Ulrich at this point. Like, just an older guy who just happens to be playing this music, and you're watching him play. It's like, oh my god, that's the same guy.
Yeah.
Right. It just looks entirely different.
Mm-hmm.
The stuff on YouTube with short clips from his shows, and I've been enjoying watching a bunch of just Eddie Van Halen being Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah.
And it's I think that not only from a music standpoint, kind of we've known, new music hasn't come out for a while. We didn't expect it to, right? I mean, just because they're touring, or whatever. It's just kind of like, they're
fucking
going out there. They're going out there because they can,
Right.
It's not AC/DC where they're fucking putting out a new album, which I just don't understand. But they must really be desperate for the money. I think it's the fact that he was 65 years old, and we're at a point where, hey, this is a Gen X point of view podcast, right? Where our point of view is from guys that are in their mid 40s looking at somebody that's like, hey, I remember when I was that age, and he was 20 years old, when we were born, like, and starting his rock career, in those early ages and coming from where he came from. 65 doesn't seem like it's that old. It doesn't seem like it's old enough.
No.
And that's tough. That to me is the unfortunate reality of everything that's happening in 2020, and you can't help but think like a little bit of your mortality, with these things, especially when somebody. It was so sudden, like, and I guess people were saying that the hints had been out there that he wasn't doing well.
Yeah.
But I wasn't paying attention to that. I had no reason to. I'm not staring at Twitter seeing what's the status of Eddie Van Halen. Not even a thing in my life. It wasn't until he passed, where it's like, fuck, and it's great because I think 1984 was on the Billboard. Wasn't there some articles about him?
Oh yeah, well, and like services like Apple Music and all those, they Van Halen stuff skyrocketed. As soon as he passed and as soon as word got out. Yeah. So and
you hope that in that group it's like our Gen Xers, right? That are, and the generation before us maybe was a part of that.
Yeah,
I'd love to think that this is some younger listeners.
That'd be great.
Some millennials and some of this younger generation of like, hey, this is a big deal to people. Let's listen to some of this music, and then maybe they can get into it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the greatest gift you can give a musician like that is immortality in the music, right?
Yep.
Just knowing that this music is going to survive for as long as it can.
Yeah.
In this day and age. So I get bringing it down a notch, I guess, after some of the stuff, but I think that's a reality that we're just kind of having to face in our age bracket.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about living like there's no tomorrow, that they're talking about in the song. You're absolutely right. It's I've been looking at all the stoicism stuff, and that's part of it. It's not necessarily living like you're going to die tomorrow. It's like living the most out of what you have.
Yes, because that's really what it's all about. Obviously, don't go snorting all the cocaine and banging all the hookers tonight just because you think you're going to die tomorrow.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
It is. But do the things you want to do now. That's the great thing about Eddie and his life story. Yes, he died young, but fuck, what a life he lived. Yeah. And he did exactly what he wanted to do. He wanted to make music. He wanted to, expand his repertoire. He wanted to be a creator.
And you can't forget the fact that he came with nothing. His family came to the United States with nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. And he happened to be settle in the Palm Springs area in California and be able to hey, this happens to be where talent can be recognized a little bit easier.
Yep.
I think if they ended up in some fucking in Bahama, Maine,
yeah,
they
chances of getting discovered pretty low.
Pretty fucking low. They would be on lobster ships right now, fucking, not living like rock stars.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, just
Scott Rasmussen brought up, and if you have Sirius XM. Channel 27 on Sirius XM. If you already have Sirius XM, you probably know that this is going on anyway.
Yeah.
But
I don't have it, so this is news to me.
Yeah, Sirius XM Channel 27 is doing Eddie Van Halen tributes. I think they've been doing it bunch of different stations were doing tributes. I think they're still doing it.
Yeah.
Right now.
They're playing a lot of Van Halen in my gym, I've noticed.
Are they?
A lot more than normal.
Well, and then all the sports games, right? So I watched I had in the background anyway. I had all the games on yesterday until the night game, and the intermissions coming in and out of commercial and stuff like that. They were playing some Eddie Van Halen and stuff like that. So yeah, and that'll fade, obviously, because that's how we time has to work that way.
Yeah.
You're putting certain things behind you and keep moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Eddie will be missed, but not forgotten.
yeah, absolutely.
So,
Raining?
it's been raining off and on all day.
I have to pee.
All right. Well, why don't we?
Sound of the rain.
Why don't we close out the show then? We'll still do an after party, but
Yes.
next week, no idea what we're gonna do. But we promised last week we would kind of bring up the mood a little bit this week, and then Eddie Van Halen had to go and die, so
Sons of bitches.
we had to adjust. So we'll try to do something a little more upbeat for
a little
next week.
bit more lighthearted, but yeah, I mean, honestly, when it comes to this music and the music that we really like, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can't talk about Van Halen on a Star Wars podcast. I'm just saying.
Yeah. No, and that's why we're doing this show now.
Right.
So all right, cool. Anything else for the masses? Any social media?
Social media, we are at Gen X POV on all your major and minor, if Twitter's minor, social media outlets. Find us on there. If you're still partaking in some El Yucateco, and we still like to get tagged on shit like that. So if you're getting some El Yucateco and you're into posting on Instagram and whatnot, go with at El Yucateco _hot sauce. Tag them, tag us. And go to Podbelly if people are starting to commute again.
Yeah.
You notice the traffic out there is getting shit.
Yep.
So that means people are listening to podcasts again. So you can find not only our amazing podcast and listen to us fucking buffoons have our shenanigans.
Mm-hmm.
You can go on podbelly.com, find all kinds of other guys like the Escape Pod guys, who they go live on YouTube on Wednesday, and I think in a couple weeks they might have some familiar faces or voices
Potentially
on their show. So find the Escape Pod guys on Podbelly. You can find the Used and Abused podcast also in the Podbelly. Go to podbelly.com/directory, and you can see all of these podcasts, and you can find us right in front and center on that. And the big thing, and please, pretty please, with sugar on it. If you're listening to our podcast right now, and maybe you're listening to it on our All Things Star Wars podcast channel, subscribe to the fucking Gen X POV channel so that we can get an accurate image of our downloads.
Yes.
Between the two. Like, we appreciate your fandom. We love you. However, we'd like to love you in the column that says Gen X POV so that we can actually more accurately track what's going on. You can find us on the iTunes, the Spotify, the iHeartRadio, the Google Play or Google Podcast.
Fucking everywhere.
Amazon does podcasts now. So you can I'm sure you can find us there. And when you're doing that, at least if you're on iTunes, especially if you're on iTunes, fucking leave us a review.
Yes.
We haven't had it. Were you just looking
Yeah, I was just looking at reviews. No new reviews.
I figured that's what you were doing. Leave a 5-star review. Either direct it to me or myself. We will read your review no matter what it is. We will read it live.
Yes.
It's for you to either enjoy or unenjoy, and it doesn't matter how many stars, but we appreciate 5 stars.
Yeah.
We appreciate you recommending our friends. Subscribe to us on YouTube, like our videos, do all the good things, and you will do it.
And you will do it. So, that being said, thank you everybody for listening, and remember, everything we told you today was true from a Gen X point of view.
Okay, now where do I click?
Was not ready for that.
I wasn't either. That's why it was high and staying high.
Oh, this is episode 12. 12 raw. So I was telling Scott last week or a couple days ago, I bought this new acoustic guitar. Hold on, I'm gonna go grab it. So I bought this guitar, right? You know how I know I've been watching pro wrestling way too much in my lifetime? Every time I pick up this guitar, my first instinct is to smash it over somebody's head. I don't know why. Well, actually, I do know why. It's because I watch too much wrestling, and that's all they do with guitars and wrestling is smash it over people's heads. So
I feel like that would hurt.
yeah. They're gimmick though, so that like the backs are like some kind of like a cardboardy type thing. I know a couple of chords. This is E minor. Impressive, huh?
I will take your word for it.
Hold on. I actually know. Let's see if I can remember how to do this. Oh. Thank you. I'm here all week. I'm learning. I've only had it for, since the day Eddie died. So we're getting there.
Oh, that's good. That app seems to be working really well for you.
I love it.
On both methods.
Absolutely love it. And yeah, I'm still going strong with the piano too.
Yeah, we see your posts.
Yes.
So that's.
Well, oh, do you? Because I only get like 2 or 3 likes
Oh,
per
maybe not
post.
everybody likes it. That's.
Wow. That's not being very supportive, Dave.
I like your videos all the time. I mean, I have to sit here in front of you, so I don't want to have to answer that. Like, dude, you watching the videos? Like, yes.
Hold on, let me see if you like my one from today.
I don't think
No, you didn't.
You're wearing that shirt. The
Yep.
fact is, I just saw it when I was sitting here.
Oh, okay.
I haven't been on social media all day, and so
Yeah.
we sat down for the podcast because I've been so busy to
And
watch it.
honestly, this is the best time of year to not be on social media.
Yeah, I'm
with the election bullshit coming up and everything else.
trying to avoid all that shit.
Yeah, and it's great when you don't pay attention. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like
And the iPhone now, like with that new update, it'll recognize that, hey, it's a political phone call, and it pops up. It sends it right to voicemail, and it says political phone call
no shit.
on it. Yeah.
Nice.
So I'm like, I'm glad I didn't have to fucking deal with that bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, my daughter is not feeling well. Yeah, fuck.
Like sick,
It's,
or did she just roll another ankle, or what's going on?
So she went out. I'm not going to get into the details, but she went out with her boyfriend this weekend. Did some fall foliage viewing out in like on the New York border, the PA New York border. There's this I can't think of the name of it. It begins with a K, but it's this old railroad trestle that went across the valley that had collapsed. Collapse makes it seem like, it was rotten and it fell. No, in 2003, a fucking tornado went through and basically ripped the thing in half.
Jesus.
So the wreckage is still laying there in this valley, and half the bridge is like still going into the valley.
Uh-huh.
So they left that and turned it into like an observation deck. So it's a great place to be able to look over the valley and see all the trees and shit like that.
Shit.
So really, really cool. Apparently, there was a fucking fuck ton of people there, though.
Yeah.
And so the pictures she sent me, most of the people were masked and stuff like that and trying to do their stuff. Yeah, I think Luna Girl's got it. The Kinzua Aqueduct.
The aqueduct?
Really?
The aqueduct. Oh, yeah, the aqueduct. Sanitation. The roads. Obviously, the roads.
Anyway, Bronco Fett wants to know when we're doing Transformers.
I mean, it's going to be a topic, for sure.
Yeah.
It's coming at some point. Don't know when yet, but it will be a topic.
Yeah, it's not going to be next week.
Yeah, I think that's something we need to put a lot of prep work into. Like, I want to go back and watch some old episodes.
Yeah.
Got to figure out where those are streaming. So,
legally or otherwise. Yeah, so she was out and there was a lot of people. I'm hoping she
didn't get the Rona.
Yeah, because it's spiking again.
I noticed that.
Yeah.
Fucking sucks. Well, yeah, when El Presidente gets it, and he's one of the.
What are you talking about? He's immune to it now.
Well, he had to get it to be immune.
Fucking asshat. What? Huh? I want you to listen to this song.
Oh, well, we're still live on YouTube, though. I don't want to.
Well, we'll wait.
Because they could take down the whole fucking video and then.
All Big Sweet says they'll demonetize it.
No, like if they could potentially take the shit down. But we don't re-monetize anyway, or monetize in the first place, so that's not an issue.
We'll play it once we go offline. Everyone else, fucking look it up. And honestly, if you're into Van Halen at all, give the Women and Children First album another listen.
Yeah, well, fuck.
There's some good songs on there.
I'll just have it on the ready because, like I said, I downloaded all their albums.
Don Solsky's finally joining us. So come out and play.
Welcome to the party.
Yeah, and we kept it underneath 2 hours.
Yeah,
if you can believe it.
Yeah, we've actually been doing pretty good about that, honestly, keeping it very, quick. I think, again, the lack of alcohol consumption is contributing to this. We're getting our thoughts out clear and concise in a timely manner.
Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. Nobody wants to hear our fucking sober asses. They want us to be fucking entertaining.
Well,
probably more entertaining.
So that's
in a couple of weeks.
That's a good point. So today's the 12th.
Right.
We've got 2 more episodes of me being sober.
Okay.
Before we go back to whatever.
Kathy, I think, had a great idea for the Halloween episode.
Mm-hmm.
I forget the details right now. I'm glad. That's why I texted it to you right away, so that I would, so that I wouldn't have to rely on my memory.
We have the historical documents. Oh, let me go back.
Another great movie. I did Galaxy Quest for the.
We did that for
Project
VCR. Yeah.
And Don, Jason, and I offer our sincerest condolences. I know you've been dealing with the death in the family.
Yep.
Sad face.
Yeah. So Kathy recommended we do Halloween as Gen Xers. East Coast versus West Coast. So basically like our Halloween experiences.
Right.
Okay.
Costumes, best costumes.
I've got pictures. Oh, man. Mom, if you're watching, the one of me in the He-Man costume from 81. There's one of me when, Karate Kid was a big thing. I got the fucking whole karate gi and everything. And
So not next week, because next week's probably too soon. To catch the Halloween crowd.
Well, yeah, the 26th which is 2 weeks
birthday. And we might have to do it the 25th.
Okay, that's fine.
I think Kathy wants to do something on my birthday, so
whatever. I'll play you a song.
I'll
play Happy Birthday.
Yes, you better.
I'll get better.
I expect it on this show. I want you to play it.
I can already play it really well on the piano, but on the guitar, it's
it's new. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll do the Halloween one on the
2 weeks.
Yeah, whatever episode in 2 episodes.
2 weeks. And it's a shame because that'd be a great time to. We're going to talk about candy. There's going to have to be a conversation about candy, and the candy of today as compared to what it was.
Yeah, because back in the day, if you got the little fucking Snickers bar, that was
gold.
That was great.
Gold.
Not because that's what everybody's giving out now, but no, man, you get those. Remember the ones that were in the fucking? There were the round ones. There was either the brown wrapper or the orange wrapper, and they both tasted like shit. They were like taffy or something, but they were just gross and they had nasty peanut butter inside of them.
I'm going to save all of that for an
episode 2 weeks from now.
Episode 2 weeks from now.
All right.
Because I'll start getting the sickness, as the John calls it, the sickness. We're talking about candy. And,
All right, fair enough.
Thankfully, we're doing it close enough to the end of the month, or if you get off, you can load up on candy right on the day. And then the next day you can raid. I don't know what's going on with Halloween around here.
Nothing as far as I know.
Really?
Yeah.
We're going out of town. Kathy and I are going out of town.
Yeah.
Getting the fuck up out of here.
There is in Columbus, I think they're doing this drive-through Halloween thing, which sounds awesome. And I think we're going to do that maybe this coming weekend.
The 305th is doing something like that.
Yeah.
For all the squadrons. They're doing I'd have to look at my email, but they're basically it's like a drive-through.
Yeah,
Type deal.
it's like out in a field, like at a farm or something, and you're just driving through, and there's like fucking people dressed up as zombies and shit.
Well,
and
won't be that. It won't be that detailed. I think it's just like for the squadrons, they're just going to have it set up so almost like a trunk or treat, except there would be appropriate social distancing.
Yeah, no, I think this is like a drive-through haunted house kind of thing.
Which is a whole nother market that's like getting smacked around right now, because who's buying costumes? Because if you're not out trick or treating, why would you buy a costume?
Right.
Candy sales. It makes me wonder where candy sales are at.
Yeah, because like if they're not doing trick or treating, then nobody's gonna be buying them for their fucking house.
Or we're just buying them like really cheap when they get really cheap at Walmart. Like,
Yeah.
oh, let's get these giant bags of candy. Not that I'm going to do that, but I'm probably going to do that. Yeah, it's just a strange thing to think about.
Yeah. Again, just another reason we need to end this fucking year.
Yeah, no shit.
Get past this COVID shit and restart our fucking lives.
Charleston chews. Dave, did the dog eat? No, the dog has not been fed. And Kathy, if you're just joining us, we were just talking about the Halloween show that we're going to do.
Yep. In a week.
That was your idea.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yes. All right. Well, we ready to close this up?
Yep.
So I got to piss, and I actually have to eat dinner too. So
Yeah. Log off, and then we're going to listen to the song.
All right. Thanks everyone for sticking with us. Until next week. Peace, bitches.
Peace.